Oh, I need to sign this. You gonna bring me some money back?
Oh,
oh shit! It's gonna be a lot of money too. That makes me excited. Let's sign right here. There you go. Yeah, my wife still gets all my mixtape royalties. So
nice.
Sometimes she gets a check and she shares it with me.
I like that. I think I saw that on Trigger Warning. You were talking about it, or in an interview somewhere.
I go to I go to this designer, place that resells designer stuff, and that you get your stuff is hard to find.
Like a
so
consignment?
I go there. It's consignment shop. I couldn't think of. So there's thousands of dollars worth of shit there. I end up buying me a pair of shades, and I see a Chanel purse that I think she'll like, so I take a picture to bring her. But on the way out, I noticed the lady has just a bunch of just basically, cheap costume jewelry that you make yourself. And my mom has a Korean friend named Jin. He used to pay us as kids to make these for him, for his father's stores. And I complimented her and told her I liked them. So she just said, you bought something, so I'll just throw these in for free. And I bought her some roses from Kroger and did them myself, like deep throwing them and shit. She cares more about that than the fucking Virgils I got her.
Yeah.
So I married the right girl. She cares about the stuff that I put some thought into more than the Virgils. But I'm gonna sell a Virgils for $5,000 and go buy me a car.
My birthday's coming up, and that's one of the things my boyfriend was asking me. He's like, what do you want for your birthday? And I don't know. I don't ever ask for anything. I'm just like, I don't know. Just make it special. That's it.
With guys, that's difficult though. I feel like women kind of come up planning stuff. So you guys are much more organized than men, So it's like
I have his birthdays planned out.
Yeah, guys can't plan past pizza. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's what even makes it even more special. Like when they plan stuff, like, you really, even if it's as simple as you planned out dinner, because if I get him to plan dinner, it'll never be done.
Well, I've been doing a better job.
That's good. Hey, man, I wanted to let you know I specifically wore my Cripicola shirt for you today.
Oh, man, that's so dope. That is so. We gotta make sure you send us an address, and I'll send you something out. I got some. I got a case. Hold on, lean back one more time. Let me get the flick of it. That's dope. I gotta show all the homies.
I got the Cripicola, and my sister has a Book of Sleep shirt.
So we're gonna make sure we get your address and send you and her sizes. We'll send you some more stuff out.
I would love that, man. I loved Trigger Warning so much. Is there any possible confirmation on a season 2?
Well, it is not confirmed, but I look forward to seeing Mike back on television in the spirit of Trigger Warning. You're gonna see more stuff. I love you guys. Bye bye.
Just rewatching.
Sorry, my wife.
Oh, look at the little puppy.
Bye. Take care of your mommy.
I rewatched this last season, obviously, of Trigger Warning, and a lot of the stuff, even kind of now going through a pandemic, makes a lot more sense. Like even sending your kids to a vocational school, like little stuff like that. I'm like, we need that even more now than ever.
Absolutely. I've met with 2 21-year-olds in the last 3 weeks. One is a contractor, he works for his father's company. His father is working for us on a couple projects. He's 21 years old. He already is an electrician, already does basic building. My son is 18, told me, I don't want to go to college, I want to go to electrical school. I was like, absolutely. I know a kid who's already making a bunch of money. And the other kid's a 21-year-old barber named Vic Blends, who, of course, we own barbershops. He's 21 years old. Shane, you dropped something. He's 21 years old and already an instructor, already has his own academy. And we're going to do some stuff in partnership. So, yeah, I encourage kids out there on the other side of this, get a trade, get something people are going to have to pay you for, man. Even I hired an HVAC guy to service our air conditioning at our original shop. And he brought the young man out, and the young man said, Mike, you came and talked at my academy 10 years ago. A lot of what you said stuck with me, and today I do HVAC. So he'll be my new HVAC guys. My guys is sourcing out younger guys now. So I think that it is important that we know trades. You got to know how to use a hammer and nail.
Yeah, I was thinking I was gonna hit up one of my friends, and I just know he's like really good with kids and just like vocational, like just construction stuff and whatnot. And I wanted
Yeah.
to introduce him to your show and be like, I think this would be a really good business for
Please send
you.
it to him.
Like,
Please send it. He's going to be like, why did she send me an episode called F School?
Yeah, I think it's very important, even now, you know, with the talks of sending kids back to school and that even being a controversial thing in itself. And I don't know, I kind of just pull up, you know, YouTube University at home. I have a 7-year-old nephew, and I just start teaching him stuff. Like,
Absolutely.
Like, this is the way to
Well, you
go.
know, ultimately, education is just awakening your own and children's curiosity, because that's what propels you to go further. That's what propels you to learn and want to know more. Just awakening that curiosity. My youngest daughter is 13 years old, and we can have almost equal conversation about most subjects, because once she catches her curiosity's call, she goes down a wormhole or research her own on her own. Now, math, you still have to make her concentrate, because it's not imagination focused. It's more, you know, repetitive discipline. But the other stuff she has pretty covered.
Let's talk about that last episode also, where you kind of build your own
New Africa community.
Yes, New Africa, the new community, and how much even that makes so much more sense now. I think in Trigger Warning, it was like, okay, something to get like the emotions going. But, you know, with obviously we're in a pandemic, there's the civil crisis that's been going on for quite a long time. And all of that just makes a lot more sense. Is it possible to build a new Africa like that in that sense? I know you're real big in organization.
I know what is really possible to do. It's possible for you and your friends to buy all the properties on one street and to transform that street. And then it's possible for you to do it on the next street. I know it's possible to buy undeveloped, what do they call it?
Strip mall.
Yeah, undeveloped strip malls, but beyond that, an undeveloped neighborhood. You can buy lots where there's a 20 lot development that never got built, not far from where I live on the southwest side of Atlanta. You can buy that lot, get those 20 houses filled, and live as a community. Each person can have a garden in their backyard. You can exchange goods, use a barter system. So absolutely. And I'm not talking about in a utopian kind of way where no war doesn't exist. I'm talking about how I saw my neighborhood when I was 5. When I was 5, most people had, you know, when I was 5, it was 1980. Most people had lived in my neighborhood since the 50s and 60s. So they were now, you know, in middle age or a little older, but they brought all the stuff from rural Georgia with them. They had this. They still grew food. They still had chickens in their backyard, still had a clothesline. So much of our life was exchanging with neighbors. If we went fishing and caught 50 fish, we cleaned it, you know, put 25 in the freezer, and the other 25 we put in 5 fish parcels, and we gave to elderly neighbors. You know, we cut our grass and neighbors' grass. So I think if we do small things like that, just very small acts, if you focus on changing yourself, making yourself more efficient, making your house and your street more efficient, I think that's a lot more doable to do. And you just repeat that street by street versus trying to create New Africa, because, you know, it's a big endeavor.
New Africa is a big journey.
Absolutely.
But it was definitely entertaining to watch on TV. Yeah, definitely. I'm crossing my fingers. Season 2, we need that. Let's talk.
I agree.
Run the Jewels 4. I've had the pleasure of going to one of your shows here in Phoenix, and it's definitely a rager. I was all the way in the back because I didn't. My body, I'm too old to be in the front like that.
We got great fans in Phoenix too, man. They've been with us all the way from the 300 people, the 500 people club, all the way up, man. We got some real cool people in Arizona. We appreciate you guys very much. Like, it could be 100 degrees at night and we still get in there and get sweaty together. I appreciate it, because it's coming from Georgia. It gets hot and swampy.
It's a different heat, yeah.
Yeah, certain shows I just miss because I'm just like, man, it's too hot. But y'all guys come out, and I really appreciate you guys for that, man.
What was I gonna say? I heard in an interview you said something about, you know, this is like the soundtrack to progress, and this isn't for Run the Jewels. This isn't like something that purposely, I don't think, came out at this time. It kind of just all coincided. This is just Run the Jewels, yeah. But it was so like timely when it did come out. What is it about you and LP's progress or process when it comes to putting these albums together? What is it like? A phone call like, yo, it's time, or I have this idea? We need some more money.
Yeah, now we toured 8 straight years. And we toured the last tour like 13, 14 straight months, like 100, well, actually like 123 shows in a year. So we were physically just beat up after the last tour. So we just took some time off to decompress and learn how to be human beings. And then we took about 14 months to make a record. And then we got invited to go on tour with Rage. And of course, the world closed down for a year. So we're going to do that still next year. But none of what me and Elle do is money based in terms of the incentive to do it. We really found musical soulmates in each other. Like we found like kindred spirits in which we're a month apart, the exact same age, grew up at the exact same time, and have been infected by most of the same world events and musical artists and interests and things of that nature. So he grew up in New York, I grew up in Georgia. I'm Black, he's white. There's a contrast there. But all those things just evolved into a beautiful friendship. And that friendship eternally is like two 15-year-old boys locked in a room just creating what they think is the most badass shit in the world. So that spirit and imagination is what really drives me. And we'll sit around and we'll get fidgety, and we'll just be like, yo, let's find somewhere to go for 2 weeks and let's start. And that's usually how it goes. We just go somewhere and just live together for 2 weeks. And those 2 weeks turn into a month, and I usually miss the strip club, so I go back to Atlanta, like to the Blue Flame or something.
I was going to suggest that one of Trigger Warning's episodes be like a strip club food tour. Just a suggestion.
In Atlanta, we have some of the best chefs working in the strip club. I would argue that even better than Magic City. For if you're looking for wings, go to the Blue Flame. They wings off the chain. So
I've never been to an Atlanta strip club, but out here in Phoenix,
when you come, me and Shay will take you.
See, yeah, I would love that, just to eat. And me and my friends, we go just to eat. They got some of the best shrimp tacos I've ever had.
If you want a great steak, you can go to Cheetah's. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of. If you want great street food right outside the club, there's a club called Blaze that the guy does franks and burgers and just sausages and stuff. But it's some of the best street food, and it's right outside. So anytime you come to Atlanta, me and Shay got you. But
that's dope.
Yeah, me and Ella, our friendship, it's the cornerstone of it is friendship and just love of badass hip hop. And who doesn't want to make money making badass hip hop with their friends? It's kind of the dream of every teenage boy.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
It's a brotherhood. I love the way you guys talk about each other, and just creatively, how has that evolved for you two?
Well, I think that what we've done with each outing is just trust each other more. When we first got in together, within the first 3 hours, we knew we were dope together. We knew we were making classic music. Within the first year of knowing one another, we knew we were going to keep making music together in some capacity. After Running the Jewels 1, I was just like, we're known. And that's, again, we were playing those 300 and 400 people rooms in Phoenix and places. That's when I knew I was like, this is a group. I don't want to go back to focus on solo career. All I want to focus on and give my attention to is the group. So if you listen to the record Kill Jill by Big Boy, that was a hit record. It's a great record. That record was first brought to me by a guy named PK. He was like, yo, Kill, you got it. This beat is you. And the record was such a dope record. I was like, I can't release this record solo. And he was like, wow. I was like, it'll mess up the harmony in my group. I was like, I got a group to focus on growing. I don't have time to go worry about doing solo shows. So I was like, yo, I'm going to take it to Big Boy. And that way, Big does a record. And whenever I have free time, I can go jump out with my big bro, just jump up on stage and rock a hit with them. But my focus has been on growing this group. And 3 albums after that, here we go. Because I think I gave it to Big Boy like years ago before he finally used it. But, my verse was on it and everything. But I was like, I'm not doing a second verse. I'm not doing this. It's only going to be me as a feature on it. Because I wanted to make sure my group got a chance to blossom into what it was supposed to be. And I didn't want to be distracted by making more solo music.
That's dope. What is that? I guess it makes me think about like a unspoken like loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Between the two of you, which is really cool, and I guess that's a very honorable characteristic, because a lot of times when you're in groups and people still kind of want to do their thing and they see a group as a threat or other.
It's reciprocal though. Like right when we were about to go, I think on the Run the Jewels 3 run, like Guru, who is a friend of mine and engineer to Jay-Z and confidant, called L like, yo, Jay wants you to come in, and play some beats. And L's like, man, I really would love to, but I leave for tour tomorrow. So we both have made personal sacrifices that would have blossomed us as individuals, but we both have given ourselves to this group in a way that it's paid, tenfold in dividends. And we get to be more free as individuals because we're there with each other. We're a black and white guy from the North and the South, rapping in the experience in the spirit of old school hip hop in the midst of modern times. And that's a beautiful thing. It's an anomaly of sorts, but I embrace it because it's special. It really is something special.
No, that's hella dope. That's so admirable. With you obviously kind of funding a lot of your more, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, like starting your music career first and now elevating your other businesses. Did you see yourself having these businesses when you were, making music first?
Well, what I realized from my first run and kind of my ascension and my fall is that you're only free when you're financially free within the music industry, right? You're free to be whoever you want to be and do whatever you want to do when you're controlling your own commerce in music. And that's why I value independence. L coined the phrase independence as fuck. I walked one of my lawyers, a lawyer that Big Boy and I both shared. He's a good friend. He said, I remember when I brought you the deal from, I think it was Virgin. He was like, it was over $100,000 for you as an advance. It included a car, some other stuff. And I was just like, yeah, but I knew I was worth more. Not that was an insult, but I literally knew that I was worth more. And not to say that I was being treated badly or unfairly. I just knew I was worth more. Like when Master P tells the story of being offered $1 million, I knew as much money as there was at that time, I knew if I figured it out myself that it'd be nothing. So in regards to music, that's almost, I get that pretty much every time Elle and I do a festival. That's like my go home.
They're giving you a cap as opposed to.
Yeah, and it's nothing wrong. That's just the way business runs. And it took me a longer amount of years to achieve more and achieve what I was worth. But I was determined to do it in a way that I felt free to be, who I wanted to be. So I think that financially, I dedicated myself somewhere along the lines of saying that I'm going to build other businesses. The same way a business will pay me to put my name or my song in there, I can build my own businesses. And the first thing I ever wanted to own was just a barbershop. But what I learned was, owning a barbershop is a cute mom and pop business. But I want to be super cuts and great clips, but I want to have swag like we do. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to be able to sell Cripple Cola teas out of my store. So my barbershops are more like stores that operate on behalf of a brand that barbers, a shave, washing, groom experience. A swag shop is an experience. It's not just a barbershop. You come to get shaved, wash, and groom. You get amazing retail. I'm on the other line right now after we hang up, getting on a Zoom call about our products that are coming out. So I just started to take this real seriously and realize it's something I could replicate. That and my wife and I, I partnered with T.I. We now own Bankhead Seafood, which is a classic restaurant in Atlanta. It's a food truck is running. Shouts out to Chaka Dias, our chief of operations. She's an amazing woman, does great things. So I'm fortunate because in my fall off and having to pick myself up and dust myself off and learn the business of music, what I ended up learning was just how to be more disciplined about learning businesses, period. And if I can go make a commercial for another food company, why can't I have my own food company? If I can go and create opportunities for companies to use me in their advertisements, why can't I create my own advertisements from my own shop? So it just comes out of a place of self-determination. And that way, Elle and I remain free. Elle owns businesses too. He's part owner in Max Fish, which is a historic bar in Brooklyn, New York. And he also co-owns Franklin's, which is a deli in New York, which has amazing pastrami. I'm a big fan of cats and their pastrami, but I gotta be honest, Franklin's kicking butt. You know what I mean? So
I'm just a fan of food.
We both have made some choices that hopefully the passive income is something that will continue to grow and we will continue to be as free as we want to be making music, because freedom is something I really value.
Yeah. You were mentioning your fall off. Was that something that you feel like was essential to your growth?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to most people aren't willing to train as hard as Floyd Mayweather to be a champion. And you get lazy or lackadaisical, or you trust other people and you slip. Well, I had to realize in the fall off that pointing fingers at everyone else. The record company's fault. It was his fault. It was her. It's not as effective as sitting down and analyzing within yourself. What could I have done different? You know,
how much of it is really in your control?
Absolutely. And once you start to figure out that ultimately it's all in your control, once you start to figure that out, I may not control what happened to me, but I can control how I react to it and how I adjust to it. Once I realized that, I was free and I was happy as could be. And then it was just figuring out how to make the music relevant. So, or how to get it in front of people who would find it relevant. So Pledge 1, I pledge allegiance to the grind 1, 2, and 3, set up a platform for me to do rap music, which L produced that entire album, which set up the base, essentially the four corner base for me to bring audience to what eventually became Run the Jewels. And L brought his audience, and then I'll never forget being in that little small room we used to play in Phoenix. We were there, and we're playing. We maybe got 400 or 500 people squeezed because it was hot. So L and I are opening for each other essentially. I come out, do my set, and Killer Mike fans like, hey. L comes out, does his set, the company phone fans, Def Jam fans like, hey. And then there's these kids that would kind of be respectful, just nodding their head. And I noticed there were kids because they all had X's on their hand. I was like, why are these kids the fucking X? These white kids in the Malcolm X. And it was like, no, that just means they're too young to be drinking. So I was like, okay. We leave stage, sometimes come right back up in the same sweaty t-shirts, and we come back on this Run the Jewels, and the kids would lose their freaking minds. It was like they just didn't see the black and the white guys separate groups. And that's when I was like, oh shit, like this is kind of bigger than what we thought. And it grew exponentially. And the next thing you know, this is not just means a badass rap group. I just climbed the mountain. The first thing I can think to do is throw up Run the Jewels. I'm a lawyer. I just want a civil case on the behalf of somebody good. The first thing I can do is throw Run the Jewels. I'm a surgeon. I just did a successful surgery. What do you do? Turn around, throw Run the Jewels. It's amazing. So we have become something bigger than just a rap group. We are in a relationship with a support system and fan base that we are providing essentially the soundtrack to their success, you know, and their ups and downs. And I'm honored and humbled to be that, because that's what so many musicians have been for me. That's what Sade is for me. That's what Scarface is for me. You know, that's what Marvin Gaye is for me. That's what, you know, Led Zeppelin is for me. Sabbath. So for me, I'm honored that we hold that place. Yes. Someone hit me on Twitter this morning, which I'm rarely on Twitter anymore, but said my daughter was born at this time of day, and the first music she heard was Run the Jewels per my wife's request. That's humbling, you know. That
per my wife's request. Wow,
his wife. That's a badass wife to have a baby and say, "Put on some fucking Run the Jewels." He better watch himself.
I just had a human come out. You know, I mean,
it's had a human.
I just had a human. I just birthed the thing. Yeah, Run the Jewels sounds like some pretty like badass shit to put on, and you know.
Come on, man. Amazing. Yeah, so I'm just humbled to be one half of what I feel is the greatest rap group going right now. You know?
I know a lot of people call both of you legends in the game, in the hip hop community.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
How are you able to receive that compliment?
I don't know. A legend could be a respectful way of saying you old. I don't know. What I know is that I'm very honored to be. Little B was the first person who called me a legend. And then my manager kept me humble, saying, Little B calls everybody who's old a legend. I was like, that's love. But I'm honored. I'm honored that my contemporaries, meaning fellow rappers and stuff, see love and light, and they give it, and I give it back to them. So it's an honor for me to be called a legend, because the people that I consider legends, I have a lot of reverence and respect for. So anything that's said to me in that line is a compliment, and I receive it and I appreciate it.
Very cool. With elections coming up this year, for people that might not be super versed in politics, obviously we're urging that even more this year, more than ever. I guess, what are the top 3 things someone should pay attention to in your eyes?
What I want people to do is write down the top 3 things that are important to them in their household. And is that insurance? Is that medical marijuana? Is that prison reform? Is that school and education reform? Is that more trade and skill and job opportunity? Write down just the 3 things that would affect your life in a positive way. And then go to Donald Trump's website, and then go to Joe Biden's website, and see how much their plans line up with what you have. And then
what about Kanye's website? It's okay. It's okay.
I like his shoes a lot.
I like his shoes a lot. No, but you're right. That's one of the things I guess I was kind of like nervous talking to you about today. I was like, wow, Killer Mike is like, he's so smart and well-versed in politics and stuff like that. And a lot of your interviews kind of go in that direction. And I was like, shit, like I need to know more in that sense, but that's a great start.
There's a guy named Reverend William Barber who is bringing back the Poor People's Campaign and Dr. King and stuff. I'd encourage people to follow Barber because he asks the really tough questions. A lot of times that we as poor working class people may not know how to ask. He calls politicians to task. I'd also follow Senator Nina Turner. For you guys that are on IG, it's Nina Turner, Ohio. I check her out because they're two of the most truthful voices right now in the political sphere, along with Eddie Glaude and Dr. Cornel West. And on the conservative side, I listen to a lot of Walter E. Williams. I read and listen to his work. I read and listen to the work of Thomas Sowell as well. And Michael Steele, who's former Republican, head of the Republican Party, I think out of DC. Michael's a good guy. And believe it or not, Dr. Ben Carson, who wrote some incredible work. No matter how you feel about him being a conservative, I think that especially Black and brown person, should read his story because it's very inspirational. So I tend to read a lot from both sides. And I know a lot of people don't like doing it. They like to pick the side that makes them feel comfortable. But I try to say educate yourself all the way around, because to know yourself and not know your op is destined, you're destined for failure that way. You never know what moves around.
Yeah, I always wonder, even like obviously there's so many opposing views, especially like on social media, but I'm always just curious until I get angry, and then I'm like, all right, never mind. Why did I go down that wormhole? But social media is definitely not the place to probably do that research. Like you said, reading is fundamental. What was I going to ask? Would you say it's good to have these conversations on a political scale? Because I feel like that can get real sticky.
Having the conversation is good, but it's good to have it in a living room with your friends who may or may not agree with you. It's good to have it with people who may not be friends, but it's safe to have the conversation with. Yelling at each other from across the room at the neighborhood unit meeting is not necessarily the move. But I would say talking civilly, even to people you disagree with, about why you disagree and why you have certain perspectives is absolutely important. A lot of my friends are very progressive and don't understand why I'm into things like guns and very pro-Second Amendment and very limited local government. And some of my friends are very conservative and don't understand for life me why I would support a Democratic socialist like Sanders. But I happen to believe if my taxes, which I already pay about 45% of my taxes, 45% of what I make a year goes right back. So if I make $100,000, I'm only making $55,000, right? So you hear Michael made $100,000, but Michael only makes 55. So naturally, that would make you want to be a conservative, because he's like, the government's taking 45% of my money. But if a social program came along that would aid children for the next 20 years, and they said, well, it's going to cost you 50% of your salary now, 50% of what you make. Another 5% wouldn't bother me if I knew that instead of buying new missiles and nukes and tanks, that we would be creating the educational system that truly educates children on financial literacy, farming, fishing, trade skills, so that we're putting out efficient adults. I'd gladly pay that extra 5% in tax. I wouldn't think about it, because like the investments my wife and I make to make sure we don't have to work when I'm 50, I want to make sure that for our country on a broader scale, that I'm willing to make those investments through my tax dollars to make sure our children are going to live in a competent country.
Damn. Okay. We're done. Just kidding. I wanted to talk about, no, we're not. One more actually about, I love the relationship you and your wife have. And you reposted that meme that 2 Chainz had posted about,
don't buy your girl, buying your girl a business is a new Chanel bag. Absolutely.
Yes.
His wife and my wife are friends. Yeah,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Hopefully they'll do something amazing and blow up in a business. So me and 2 Chainz can be like Stedman and just chill. Hopefully can take care of them.
No, I love that. I asked my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, do you mind? I want to sell some T-shirts. Can you invest? Help me invest and stuff like that.
Absolutely,
and that's the beautiful thing. Now, what would you say are, I guess, some principles you've learned throughout your marriage?
Lean to each other, cover for each other's weaknesses, and lean on each other's strengths. My wife is not as a creative thinker as I am. Like, she can design the heck out of a house and make her house look good, but in terms of walking in a space, what a barbershop should look like, what art, she leaves all that to me. She's just like you. But in terms of budget, negotiation with contractors, time limits and schedules, I'm an artist. Doesn't make me any difference how long. I just want to write. With her, that schedule is set. She comes out of corporate environment, so she knows how to meet goals and match them. And we do well together in that way. There's been times where I had huge chunks of money. I wanted to do something really rapperish, like I wanted to buy a car and a gold chain to match it. She's like, no, we're going to buy this apartment complex. And I'm like, okay. And then, I found out later, my friend owns another property close. And then she said, well, we're going to go in a development together. We're going to develop this bigger thing and do this partnership. Well, I'm glad I deferred to her wisdom on that type of stuff, because there was something I didn't listen to her on. 10 years ago, probably could have bought a house relatively cheap, turning into a bed and breakfast in Savannah, her hometown. I was like, bed and breakfast? Are we staying 5-star hotels? What are you talking about? And bed and breakfast industry and Airbnb took off, and I got left there with egg on my face, like shit. And she's looking like I told you so. So now I'm going to probably pay triple the cost on one of the properties. So I still got to buy it for it because I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing else to say. So now it's probably going to cost me like $500,000. It's still, I could have had it for about $125, $150. So
right,
but it's worth it because it's an investment.
I love that. Yeah, that's definitely learning more as we go. My boyfriend and I, we've been together about 3 years, but even kind of just seeing other relationships, how they pan out, just seeing how much of a partnership it really is.
That's what
at the bottom line, it's a partnership. Yeah. Like, we're a team, and just kind of figuring out, like, the romantic stuff is cool too, and that's obviously that's how things start. But like, as you go along, it's really like a team. Like, all right, you got this, I got this, let's go.
Absolutely. I learned that watching my grandparents. Absolutely. My grandfather brought his check home every week. Now, whatever money he made in the gambling house and driving trucks on the weekend, that was his money. But my grandmother was the chief operating officer. He was the chief executive officer, and she never let us forget. If we said we liked a piece of bread, thank you, grandfather, he got it. Like, she never let us take focus from the fact that he was a provider. My grandmother was educated; she was a registered nurse, but he had asked her to stop working in order to raise us so that she would be there, when we leave and come home. So until we were all able to ride the bus ourselves, he was there. But my grandmother was the chief operating officer. She ran the ship. To this day, people say, yeah, Mike will tell you he'll agree to it, but he's still the last thing he's going to say to you, I got to talk to my wife first. That's just what it is. Like, we make decisions in partnerships, that's, if a girl in the club says, I like you, I was like, man, go tell Shay, let's see what she says. Like, but I'm not making no decisions solo,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So I'm truly in the partnership, and I'm honored to be her partner.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. Truly a fan. Trigger warning, crossing my fingers. I got to try this Ooh La La line that just came out. I just saw that today. I was like, oh, why just now?
Got to come.
Like, why?
We have to let it.
I'm surprised there wasn't. You guys didn't have a strain a long time ago.
Actually, we've had strains grown for us. We had one feature in High Times, but Burner's my boy, and doing business with Burner is a pleasure. Like, I'm happy to be in business with Burner. Back to track.
Yeah, shout out to Cookies. Well, thank you very much.
Send me those sizes so you and your girl and your boyfriend too, and I'll get you a package of shirts out in the next 7 days.
I would love that. Thank you so much, Killer Mike, Natasha Castles, Live 105. I appreciate you.
Love, Tosh. Peace. Love.